Hi guys, welcome to part 8 of this series. I did think initially when I started it, part 8 was going to be where it finished, but I have to tell you, I still have a few more decks to show you, so there will be a part 9, and I'm looking forward to doing that. But while we wait for that to come out, here is the next decks in my collection. So this is the Black Femme Tarot, created by Letitia Shelton and illustrated by Roberta Rodriguez. It is a deck that I purchased off Kickstarter. I backed it in the first 24 hours and I was backer number 69, which I was really excited to be. As you can see, it's still in its shrink wrap because I haven't decided if I will open it. It's not a deck that I would use myself, and I didn't buy it for the purpose of using it myself. I bought it so that I would have it in my collection and it would be there and available for anyone who was part of my women's circles who may feel drawn to it or resonate with it, that they would be able to have this. So it just adds a little bit more diversity to the collection that I have. When the deck arrived, it comes with a certificate of authentication. And as you can see here, this deck is number 469 out of 1,000 copies. So the Black Femme Tarot deck. The Black Femme Tarot deck is a modern take on the classic Rider-Waite Tarot with a big difference. All the individuals depicted are Black femmes. Each card showcases a bright, rich colour palette with a modern yet eye-catching cartoon style. Because tarot is meant to be fun, enjoy the diverse imagery and LGBTQIA representation as you dive into the world of tarot through a new lens. So it's definitely an interesting deck. As I said, I'm not prepared to open it right now, but if I do in the future, I will definitely make a video so that you can all have a look and see what it's all about. So this is the Life Purpose Oracle cards by Doreen Virtue. It's a 44 card deck and guidebook, and it says, when you know your purpose, life takes on harmonious and abundant qualities. This deck by Doreen Virtue will allow you to conduct accurate and trustworthy readings to explore your career and spiritual path. So this is a deck that I got around the time that my youngest started into her own education journey. Now, I was home educating my children at that time, but it was a time that I began to search for my own life's purpose. So much was going on. There was a shift in my attention, and I was beginning to look at what is there for me? What is my life's purpose beyond my children? Now, I know that they'd only started their education journey, but it was really important for me to try and get a grip on what it is that my life purpose would be moving forward. So when I first got this deck, I was really excited to use it. I was able to ask, what is my life purpose overall, and get some really great readings, which I found really invaluable. But after a short while, I kind of looked at the deck and I'm like, what am I going to use you for now? You know, it's a life purpose deck. How can I integrate you into my story and my readings in the future? So some of the things that I began to ask with this deck are questions like, what is my life's purpose in this moment? So that was able to show me a link between where I was at that point and what my life purpose was in that moment. Other questions that I began to ask was, how can this situation or experience that I'm asking about support my life purpose journey? And I found that really great in giving me really good and solid information. What other aspects of my life are strengthened by this situation? That was another really great question that I used to ask and still do at times, to get a really good feel for the messages that are coming through. And things like, which aspect of my life's purpose should I channel my energy into now to support the situation or the experience or the thing that I'm asking about? That's a great question too. So I really did enjoy and do enjoy using these cards. Being able to find a way that I can link my life purpose in with the questions that I'm asking, to be able to understand the messages that are coming through, is really been extremely beneficial for me. And it also means that this deck that I initially looked at, life's purpose, and thought, how else am I going to use it? It's become a deck that is versatile, one that I can call upon for many different things. Whereas for a little while there, it just kind of sat in the corner and it was like, well, you've told me what my life's purpose is. How am I going to tap into your energy and your messages to support me in the future? This deck here is the Self-Love Oracle by Janet Shu, a guidebook and 44 cards for healing and self-empowerment. And it says on the back here, Many of us believe that being deserving of love is based on your eternal accomplishments, how much money you have, how you look, what you own. But this kind of success can leave you feeling empty, directionless, overworked, and underappreciated if you don't first love yourself. The self-love oracle reminds you that your merit is not determined by childhood conditioning or societal norms, but the true worth comes from within, and that looking for love inside yourself is where the most powerful transformation and healing begins. Now, this is an absolute beautiful deck, and it came into my life at a time where I needed to focus inward more and on my own self-love to get me through the experiences that were front and center in my life at the time. So what I absolutely love about this deck is that the messages are always delivered in the perfect way. They're always just what I need to hear and just what's needed for the time and space that I'm working in. And every single message is very thoughtful. It's quite a gentle energy, and yet it's so supportive. And it always gets straight to the heart and the matter for me, which is what I really love. Now, I enjoy using this deck along with some of my other self-care decks, and I do use them regularly. They are front and center of my practices, and I will show you that in an upcoming video when I talk about my wellness and how I work with that throughout a 12-month period. But this really is a fantastic deck that I think anybody who's looking to up-level their self-love could definitely benefit from. So this is the Master Teacher Crystal Oracle, the Master Divas by Rachel Charman. It is a Rockpool publication, and it is a deck that came into my life purely because I felt really drawn to it. I loved the box, I loved the colouring, and I just loved the energy that it gave off. So when you're using this deck for a reading and you have a particular crystal, it identifies the crystal and it provides information about the crystal's medicine properties, which I find really quite interesting. It provides its own message about the crystal itself, and it shares a ceremony that you can take and use to be able to connect with the energy of the crystal either at the time of your reading or further in the future if you wish to come back to it, which I think is really great. And the fact of how it identifies these crystals is really good too. Now, the interesting thing about this is this deck has what is termed your personal power crystal, and it's for self-empowerment. So it is intentionally left blank, as it states that everybody resonates with a different crystal, and the idea is that you would work to find out which crystal you resonate with, and that is your personal power crystal. And it said that it believes that that crystal holds the wisdom for your soul. So it's a really, really powerful deck, and I like the fact that there is this personal power crystal, and that's going to be different for everyone who uses this deck. This deck is the Mystique of Magdalene. Now, I've always been drawn to the journey of Mary Magdalene, so when I seen this deck, I immediately picked it up in the store, and that's when I felt a heart pull towards the images as I turned over the back. There's just something about them that really sang to my soul. So it is a deck that I actually put back on the shelf and walked away and came home without purchasing, and then the next time I went back in, same thing happened. I was drawn to the deck, and I picked up the box and I put it in my shopping cart, walked around the shop, walked back, put it back on the shelf, and then went off to do the rest of my shopping. But before I left that time, I actually went back and put it in my cart and took it home. And I'm really glad that I did. So this is the images, and to me, they're just really beautiful, and they definitely tell a story, which is fantastic. And there's just something about them that really resonates with me. Now, having purchased this deck in late 2022, I haven't had a lot of time to work with it. I've looked at it, I've sat with it, I've spoken to the deck and asked it what it wants to tell me, but I actually haven't sat down and spent any real time doing a reading with the deck. So that is the next thing that I have on my list, to be able to find out what it is that it wishes to tell me and how it wishes to work with me, and why it kept, whoops, nearly dropped them all, and why it kept calling out to me, because it really was a powerful tug when I was standing in that store. Really, really pleased that I did pick it up and purchase it and bring it home. So I'm definitely looking forward to using this deck and getting to know the journey of Mary Magdalene and how that can fit into my life over the next 12 months. So this next deck is the Cosmic Oracle by Nari Anastasia, Activation Cards for the Soul. Now this is a deck that I earmarked to work in the month of January 2023, and I'm really glad that I did. Initially when I bought this deck, I was drawn to the different artwork of it, which I'll show you in a moment. But I looked at it and I thought, Cosmic Oracle, it felt a bit out there for me, and I wasn't really sure where it was going to take me, or if it was going to be something that I could actually enjoy working with. But nevertheless, it is the deck that I chose for January 2023, and I have been documenting the card readings that I've got, and I will be making a video about that shortly on what this journey has been like. But let me just say, these cards deliver, and they deliver a high impact statement for me personally. When I've pulled the cards daily as I've been working with it, the messages that have come through are just incredible. I didn't think that they could be as on point as they have been. They definitely hit the heart very hard, sometimes in a really loving, caring manner, and other times with a bit of a jolt that gets me thinking out of my head and definitely focusing into my heart. And I really needed that, and I've really enjoyed that. So this is definitely a surprise deck for me, and one that I look forward to not only using in the month of January, but also continuously throughout the year. So the next deck is the Fortune Oracle by Sharina Starr, and it's illustrated by Richard Crooks. Now I have to say, looking at this box, it really didn't excite me. It has these hands that I reckon I've seen a million times on Canva, but nevertheless I looked at the deck and I read it. And the one thing that really pulled me with this deck was not so much the cards and the imagery, which is quite interesting, because that is usually the thing that pulls me towards the deck first. This imagery really, it just doesn't appeal to me at any way, shape or form. It's not my style, and it's definitely not one that I would pick up and use as a deck to be visually pleased by. I know a lot of people like this style, and that's fantastic that we have diversity in what is available, but this just doesn't do it for me personally. But in saying that, I found that the messages with this deck are absolutely incredible, and that is the reason why I have this deck and why I work with this deck and see what is going on. So here we have card number 25, and it is the Phoenix. Be prepared to be renewed after a period of crisis. And what this does is, this is where for me this deck excels. So it gives me a message. It focuses in on the personal and relationships aspect. It focuses in on career and money, and it gives us Sharina's power tip. And these are really powerful, which I think is fantastic. And that to me is what elevates this deck into something that I reach for and I really enjoy having in my collection. So it's one of those times where, had I normally gone with what visually pleases me, I would have walked past this deck. But because I just dug a little deeper, I'm really blessed with the information and the messages that come through, and so pleased that this deck made it into my collection. So this deck here is by Ina Segal. It is the secret language of your soul. Now, words, again, like visual images, they really tug at my heartstrings. So secret language of your soul, that kind of hit really hard. And it was like, okay, pick this up, Karen, and see what it has to offer you. So it's an oracle for mind, body, and heart. And I love that it looks at those different connections. Now, it does say here, from the spark in your crown to the tips of your fingers and toes, your body is a true messenger for your soul. Now you can decipher its signals to access transformative insights and unlock profound inner awakening with best-selling author and intuitive healer Ina Segal. So the reason I was drawn to this deck is because it talks about cohesion, bodily cohesion. It talks about interactions with life and self. It talks about being able to connect the body with life and self. It talks about inner self and improvement for your well-being, and I'm all about improvement for my well-being. So they were the things that really hit hard for me, and I was like, okay, this is a deck where, again, the messages that are coming through could potentially be far more valuable to me than the actual look of the cards. But in saying that, these are absolutely beautiful. They're simply stunning. They're very vibrant, very eye-catching, and the messages that are underneath are just incredible. I mean, discover new ways of thinking, open your mind. If I'm in a funk and I got that card, that would just be like, bang, Karen, change the way that you're looking at life. And I really like the messages and how they are delivered. So this is a deck that I'm looking forward to using for my transformation in the next 365 days. It is a focus that I'm continuously gravitating towards more and more, and it is the way that I use my cards collectively together throughout the year. So definitely looking forward to adding this one to my wellness wheel and seeing where it takes me. So this is the Oracle of the Wylder Ones. It's Messages and Affirmations from the Wilderness by Sharon McLeod. Now this is an absolutely beautiful deck, and it has me feeling like I'm in a different time and space and a completely different energy. I feel like it taps into a part of me that's usually hidden, which is really great. Now, since I've been using this deck, it feels very fresh, very clean, very on point. But since I've been using this deck, the thing that I've noticed in my life is that this deck is very much about you looking and linking into and being aware of and resonating with the symbols that you see. So when I'm using this deck, I'm looking for those symbols, I'm connecting with those symbols, I'm seeing how they show up in my life and how they are sending messages for me. But even when I'm away from the deck after using it and I'm out there, you know, driving to work or doing something around the home, I'm becoming more conscious of the signals and the things that are happening and the synchronicities that keep turning up in my life and the meaning behind many of those messages. And that's what I love about this deck. It's definitely got me looking at the cards in a different way. It is a way that I have looked at the cards before, but with constant use with this deck, it's just up leveled that for me. And I really like that. The fact that I'm looking for the different symbols and things and the repetitiveness within the cards and within life and looking for the messages that they wish to give me. So really great deck. So the next deck that I have is Dreams of Gaia Tarot by Raywin Phelan. It's one of 2 decks that I have by Raywin. Now this is a fantastic deck and I know that many of you have it in your collection, which is fantastic as well. Now it is a deck that has a really robust guidebook. It's got so much information in here. It is incredible and I really like what it's delivering in this space. These are what the cards look like. Now, even though I was drawn to this because of what the deck had to offer and the fact that I like Raywin's artwork, I just can't work with this deck. I'm not sure what it is or why that occurs, but it's a deck that I don't find easy to work with. I don't enjoy reading with it. So it's a deck that's kind of sat to the side and I'm really trying to work out what it is that I'm going to do with it. Now the cards are quite glossy and that does in a way put me off. I don't like really glossy cards, but it's so much more than that. It is a beautiful deck and I know it works really well for a lot of people, but when I look at all the decks that I have in my collection and things that I can choose from, it's just not one that I gravitate towards and it's not one that I pull off the shelf. So it is a real shame, but it definitely has a lot to offer for those people who actually resonate with it and are able to use it. So the next deck that I have is the Body Healing Cards by Ewald Kegel and Anne Heng. I hope I pronounced them correctly. It's a 56 card deck and guidebook. Body healing cards. Now, I was looking for cards that I could use to tap into my body to be able to connect with different parts and what was going on. And I seen these and I was really taken with them. Now, technically, they're not tarot or oracle cards, but this is a phenomenal deck and it's one that I use and I love tapping into and I love the messages that it gives when I read it in more of an oracle way. But like I said, that's not what it's been designed for. And in a minute, when I show you the guidebook, you'll just potentially be blown away. I know I was, and I know that this deck has so much to offer and so much depth and information that you can extract from it and the messages. And I haven't got to being able to do that in the way that it's set out to do because it's really involved and it's something that's going to take me a really long time to be able to connect with and work in the way that it was designed. But I am determined that that is something that I will do. So it says here, connect with the soul of your organs. How exciting is that? Have you ever communicated with your liver, heart, or skin? Do you know what your kidneys need from you to function well? Opening up an entirely new dimension of body awareness, the body healing cards offer an opportunity to intuitively investigate the essence of your individual organs and discover their physical, soul, and spiritual layers. Now, I'm not even sure how I came across these guys. I was searching and searching for the kind of deck that I needed. I know I did purchase them online, and I will put a link down below in case anybody else is looking for them, because I really did struggle to find something like this, but I was so glad when I found it. So this is the guidebook, and I'm not going to go too much in depth. If somebody's really interested in it, they can have a look and purchase the deck themselves. But it starts off with letting you know about the cards and how to select the cards face up or face down. It's got a lot of really great information that's really specific to the best way to read these cards. So it talks about male and female, the Joker, and then it gives you different readings. So it talks about card laying techniques, crystals for support. But the one thing that I learned when I was using this and I was looking at the different kind of spreads. So here we have spread 1, which is a day profile. And look at the information here that it gives you for it. It's phenomenal. Then we have a health generator spread, and it explains how to do that. An organ clock. It's just incredible. It is so detailed, and each expectation as you work along the way is put in step form, and it feels like it's really easy to be able to work with, and I'm pretty sure that it is, but I must admit I found it overwhelming, so I've tended to use these cards in a way that suits me till I get to know them and we have a friendly relationship, and then I've started to delve into these spreads more. So here we have the health spiral, which is fantastic. And it just keeps going on and on. But when we get to the actual, you can see here some of the readings, you know, they're quite in depth. Absolutely incredible. But when we get on to the actual cards, we get to this section, which is portraits of the organs, and then it gives you the individual cards and it gives you the messages, and it tells you what you need to do. So not only does it give you a message, like here, our immune system monitors our individual being, orchestrates our powers of self-preservation, and defends togetherness, protecting elements that have been with our bodies since birth, combined with the latest evolutionary developments to create effective strategies to defend the self against outside influences and destroy misguided cells in our own network. And it goes on, listen to your body's defense orchestra as it protects you with modern weaponry instead of violins. Pay attention to your defenses and cheer on the protective forces. Simultaneously tune into the melodies of the symphony while also feeling your uniqueness. Now, it tells me what crystals I can use with that. It is really phenomenal, the information that's in here. It's a completely different style to what I'm used to, and it is a deck that it's going to take me a long time to use it in the manner that it was designed for, but it is really exciting. I absolutely find it so exciting. So it is one that I keep coming back to. So here we have what the different organs and things are. So we have things like testicles, teeth, mammary glands. It definitely, you know, portal vein. It taps into every different element. Male principle, tonsils, spine. The messages that we can get from this is incredible. And if we use it in conjunction with a wellness spread, which I do and will be sharing with you all shortly, if we do it in conjunction with something like a wellness spread and we look at different aspects of our life, I think this could be incredibly powerful and informative. So here we have the bronchi, the ovaries, the elbows. I mean, things that you wouldn't even consider would be in the cards. Lymphatic system, brain. It really does look at every aspect, and it is a deck that really excites me. It excites me in the way that I can manipulate it to use in my own practices in a way that fits with me, but it excites me in the information that it provides and the way it wants me to work with it. And I'm determined that in 2023, this is a journey that I'm going to take. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to really work with the guidebook and use these cards in the way that they've been designed to be used, because I think that's just going to give me an extra level that I need to be able to process myself and look after myself and do my deep self-care work this year. So the next deck I have here is the Tarot Cards of Modern Goddesses. Now this is one that I've recently acquired. It opens like this. It's probably about the only thing that I wish was different about this deck. So for me, it opens from the bottom. I would have preferred to have that as the top of the box, but it's at the bottom and I can live with that. But I really do like this tray and how it comes out. We've got this beautiful guidebook and I love the colouring of it. This blue colour, teal colour is really beautiful, and it's right throughout the whole part of this for your minor arcana, and then this is your major arcana in the guidebook, which is really lovely. Now this inside here has the actual cards in a tuck box. Now I'm not a lover of tuck boxes, but I have to say this box design feels really luxurious. The fact that you've got this really strong sturdy box, and then when you open it up you have this tuck box to get the cards out of, it just feels really luxurious to me, which is an added bonus and a real treat. So this is what the cards look like. So this deck is full of lots of diversity, which I absolutely love. It's really fun, it's really engaging, and it feels modern, but it's full of tradition and history, which is fantastic in my eyes. Now, it definitely has a very youthful and feminine energy to it, but it's upbeat and it's just gorgeous. And I just love it. It really sings to my soul. It sings to my inner child. It just feels really great. So I'm looking forward to getting to use this deck and to work with it and to see how it functions. Look at that. The diversity in that is just incredible. People from all walks of life, all different aspects. It's, yeah, beautiful. A really great deck. So I am looking forward to working with it, seeing what it has to offer in my space, seeing how it reads for me. But initially looking at this deck, it feels like it's definitely going to be something that really fits well with my needs and really will read very well for me. So I'm looking forward to that. So here we have the Black Violet Tarot by Heidi Phelps. It's a Cherry Blossom edition. And I have done a full video on this for anyone that's interested. Mine is 163 out of 500 of the decks. It came from Kickstarter. I did support it on Kickstarter. I love looking at Kickstarter and seeing what's there, but being in Australia, I think I've said it before, it gets quite expensive. The price of postage to get these decks to you is almost the same cost as the price of the deck. So for me, I have to feel like the deck's going to offer something that I can't get anywhere else and that I definitely need in my space. So this is the guidebook, as you can see here. It has the certificate of authenticity, which is fantastic, and these are what the cards look like. Now, I really love this deck, but if I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know why, but I haven't really used it since I got it. It's kind of sat on my shelf and I haven't gravitated towards it. So I'm not really sure why that is, because I really do love this deck. I love the energy that comes with it. I love what it has to offer. So I think I'm going to mix it up a bit and move it on my shelf and put it somewhere where it's a little bit more prominent, and just see if it manages to call out to me and if it's a deck that I pick up. I am in the process in 2023 of hopefully slimming down the decks that I have in my collection. I'm not sure if you've watched all my videos from start to finish, but I have a lot of them and it's becoming overwhelming, and I've bought them at different times, different places, different spaces for different reasons, and use them for a variety of different things. But I really want to narrow down decks that are a little bit more versatile and that I continuously gravitate towards these days. So I'll put this one a little bit more front and center and see where it takes me. Now, these are the Angel Reading Cards by Debbie Malone. I'm not sure if I've shown this one before. Well, I haven't shown this one before because I've kept them very separate, but I do have 2 copies of this, and this might be the second copy. So if you've seen it throughout my deck collection video series already, then I apologize, but this is the deck that I have. It is a slightly later edition than the other one, but it is exactly the same. I love this deck. I love Debbie Malone's energy that she places in her decks. It's just really enjoyable. So if I'm looking for an angel deck, this is probably one that I will reach for a lot of the time. The messages are really great. They're full of all the things that I need to hear at the time. So definitely a great deck. So this is the deck, The Oracle of Portals by Tess Whitehurst, and artwork by Layla Savalinian. I hope I pronounced that right. It's traversing gateways of power and possibility. Now, this to me is a phenomenal deck. It is one that I will be deep diving into in March 2023, and I actually can't wait to get there. I'm not one to wish my life away, but I really want to be able to use this deck very deeply, and I'm looking forward to it. So it is just phenomenal. It is so high energy. And every time I pick up this deck and I'm looking at the images, I feel like I'm being transported to a time and place I've experienced before. It's a really weird feeling, but I absolutely enjoy it. It's so light filled. It's just, yeah, it's energy focused. So for instance, this is one of the reasons why I bought this deck. I was absolutely drawn in by this image. And if I close my eyes, I can feel myself there. I feel like this is me, and it's just absolutely incredible. And when you turn the cards over and you look at them here, again, on the few readings that I've done with these cards when I first got it, just to get to know it, I just feel like I'm being drawn into a time and space that I've experienced before and that I need to be reminded of. And it is just truly incredible. So definitely, I can't wait to be able to use this deck in March 2023 as part of my deep dive, which I will be documenting for you all to see. So watch this space if this deck interests you. But it really is a phenomenal deck. When I hold it, the energy and the messages that come through are incredible. So there you have it, guys, the end of part 8. Part 9 is coming really soon. It will be the finale of this series. It has been my absolute pleasure to be able to put this together for you all and to share the decks that I have in my collection. It's definitely been an eye-opener for me. It's challenged me to look at the decks that I have and to decide whether I need them all and what I'm going to do with my journey with them moving forward. So watch this space. That's a really exciting time coming up ahead. I'm also looking and thinking about the next series that I'm going to do, and I thought I'd take you along for the ride of my wellness journey for 2023, and I've termed that Wheeling My Way Through 2023. So that's where I'll be looking at a particular spread that I use to inform my journey and how I use different oracle and tarot decks throughout the year to work with that spread. So watch this space. That will be coming soon. Until then, have a fabulous time, and I look forward to seeing you in this series or as I'm wheeling my way through 2023. Thanks, guys. Bye.